Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to week 2 of WSSEA Overwatch 2. Good to see you guys all again, back again this week. These teams got to be pretty excited about it too. Both teams, we've got two teams currently sitting at 0-1 in the standings, looking to bounce back and get their feet back underneath them. And
Yeah, I bet both of these teams going to be really hungry for a win. I know that first map is going to be Blizzard World, so I'm kind of excited to see what team comps we see. I know you and I had a chance to talk a little bit behind scenes, and a lot of times in these leagues, we see students or players kind of go with what they're most comfortable with instead of those meta comps and things like that. So again, just interested to see what we're going to see out here on the field today.
yeah, and a lot of the things that I saw that some of these players were really comfortable on, they did end up looking really strong. Since we did get to see the Lancers last week, getting to see James and Cobain were two players that I want to highlight. Cobain was hitting some really strong sleep darts on that Ana, and when they were able to play that Genji with James there was a lot of synergy that worked out pretty well in their favor. It wasn't quite enough to net them a win, but if they iron out some of these macro plays on the team side, they can definitely overpower some of these other foes in this league.
Yeah, how do you feel about these team comps that we're seeing coming out? We do have a Sigma, which I personally love. There's a Hanzo, a Reaper there for getting in that back line. On the other things, I know you said Genji has been pretty popular. I have been not fortunate enough to really witness any Genjis in the leagues I've been casting, so I'm kind of excited to see Genji out here.
Yeah, definitely be on the lookout for Genji to make some big plays once Cobain has that nano boost, or if, a big nade comes out and we get a low HP target, get some of those dashes in there, but it's going to be Chara immediately feeling the pressure from this Reaper at point blank with the Hellfire shotguns, pressuring the Reinhardt back there, and near zero actually going to get an early pickoff there onto Cobain, so there's most of that big healing gone. Actually, scratch that. They have an Ana and a Baptiste, so, still a bit of healing in play, not quite enough as Chara is going to fall, and without a big tanky shield in play, you're not going to want to push that any forward. That's going to be the Lancers taking a reset.
Yeah, with Baptista falling as well, the tank gone, now both healers certainly needing to fall back as well. They don't want to get into a position where they're kind of staggering in as well. We see Side taking quite a bit of damage there. So again, they want to kind of regroup. We see Chara switching to the D.Va here, so hopefully maybe this is a change that can kind of help them make a push.
I kind of like the D.Va pick here because it does give the opportunity to shut down near zero on that Hanzo and deny some of that damage coming in from the angle there, but you are susceptible to accretions to the dome there, so King gonna be more than happy to be taking a few shots with those, knocking the D.Va flat on her back from time to time. It's still kind of a puzzle though. When they're playing this far up, you kind of have to look and see, how do we get this Ingress? Where does our D.Va use the jets? Where do we fly to? Where do we actually get this early pickoff? Our backline is very low, but an early pickoff there onto near zero is going to help alleviate some of the pressure and maybe start the upheaval forward just a little bit. Chris gonna go ahead and fall as well, courtesy of James. You lose sight on the Ingress here, but you're still able to push forward just a little bit more. Sleep Dart goes a little bit wide there from Cobain, a little uncharacteristic, but I think Lancers have enough of a presence here on the point to start getting that percentage ticking up and maybe get the full cap here.
Yeah, I don't know, if they're going to have enough time to get here. So it does look like the cap should come in. Again, they want to be careful of staggering in. We kind of see them a little split here. So I hope that they can find a way to regroup and make a stand. There's a lot of good choke points throughout this map as well. The Hanzo all coming in, going to collect on the healer as well, though. And maybe that could be the stand they need.
Yeah, that might have been an ill-advised Dragon Strike, but the bomb was not ill-advised at all. Chara with a big 3K claps right back, says, I don't even need an Ana to blow you guys all up. And that's going to be enough to clap back and get that cart moving despite the early pickoff onto the Ana. And they're still going to have that Nano Blade combo that we talked about earlier on if they want to invest that to keep the cart rolling even further.
Yeah, and again, just doing a good job as well as keeping a minimum of 3 near that card, again, just to keep it moving that much faster. So really putting in some good time here. Still 3:40 on the clock for them as well. So progress is kind of being made with ease here at the moment.
Yeah, and I do also, again, want to loop back to that Nano Blade combo, but I want to highlight Chill with that Transcendence as well, because there are two very big ultimates coming out in the form of that Death Blossom and that Gravitic Flux that it's going to be needed to invest for, and there it is, the Gravitic Flux. Going to go ahead and pop that Transcendence, Chill keeping the team up and alive. The Death Blossom does come out, and it takes out Cobain, who was able to get the Nano Boost off, but it goes onto Chara instead, so no Dragon Blade just yet. The cart getting closer still, though, and all of the ults on the side of Lake Stevens have been dried up, so no more resources there, and Chara gonna go ahead and pick the bones of that support line. Near zero gonna fall as well, and I think this might be enough, but King gonna go ahead and dig their heels into the ground there, finally does fall. Side with a big pick off there, a big headshot, and the Dragon Blade comes out. Doesn't find much of anything, but a lot of space was made. Is there going to be a touch from Lake Stevens? Doesn't look like there is, and Kennedy Catholic, they cap the point B.
Yeah, some great shots from side on Cassidy there as well to get that kill onto King. We'll see King switching off that Sigma, going to go with the Ramatra here as well. So again, I think it could be a solid change for them. Ramatra in that the annihilation. I mean, they couldn't have come up with a better word, right? You basically got to run when that's up.
Yeah, it is very much an I win button. So, you know, King going to be wanting to build up to that and get a few fight wins under their belt here with that ultimate ability, but it's everything that you do up until you get that ultimate that's going to help keep you in the game. And Chris, with some of these big backline pickoffs and some of these big uppercuts coming through from King, are going to help keep everything going. Something key here, by the way, this fight is kind of happening, you know, in the attacker spawn, and meanwhile the cart has just slipped right past King. It's like already like around the corner, just a little bit there. You know, you had near zero and Chris having to go back to try and contest it there, but they already got a little bit of progress and pushed it that first little bit, and now they're going to be able to get around this first corner here for free.
Yeah, unfortunately with King falling as well, the group just kind of having to wait to King to get up here. The ult almost on deck for Kariko as well, so a lot of ults going to be coming in here. There we see Hanzo using his as well. Is he going to find the kill? Not quite, so Tranquility is going to come in as well. Again, just hopefully playing around these ults. They don't want to use them all at once as well. I would like to see him stagger them a bit.
I mean, are you even going to get a chance to? Because Chara's just going to blow your whole team up again. That's another huge self-destruct that just cleans up all of Lake Stevens, dries that lake right up, and they're pushing the cart into the end here. And is there even going to be a contest? The Kitsune Rush comes out to try and get the reinforcements back to the cart fast, but it's not fast enough. That was 2 huge bombs there from Chara that essentially just sealed that whole push for Kennedy Catholic.
Yeah, I feel like Lake Stevens had a solid stand initially, kind of maybe that first minute or so, but once Kennedy broke through, there was really no stopping it. Seemed they didn't really have much trouble pushing the cart. At one point, they kind of got away from it a little bit, maybe a little kill hungry, but again, it didn't seem to affect them in the end.
And, you know, you alluded a couple times to that annihilation, that ultimate from the Ramatra, and all of the dominoes were in place to fall for that ultimate to get maximum value. You know, they had that early Dragon Strike that forced out the Transcendence from Chill, so you have nothing to weather the storm if that annihilation comes through, but what's an annihilation to a big bang that just takes down everybody on the field? You don't even get a chance to let that ultimate rip. There's not going to be any rebuttal. There doesn't need to be one because there's just no team.
Yeah, I think we might have a switch too. I think we saw James on the Genji before, but it looks like maybe his partner opting to go with Genji and maybe swapping things out here a bit.
Kind of figuring some things out. Actually looks like they're going for a bit of a double hit scan thing here with the Cassidy and the Soldier 76 on the defense here, which I do kind of like. That should be, putting a lot of shield pressure on King and might kind of force the swap off of that Sigma and onto something a little bit more, like a Diva or like a Wrecking Ball or something that's not going to be leaning too heavily on the shields there. Because with the Discord, the Zen spam, and you got a Cassidy and Soldier and Helix Rockets and all of that just pumping into your shield, that's going to melt like butter.
Yeah, I feel like we see a lot more of the Soldiers now as well with those, I guess they're not too recent, but the recent nerfs of Sojourn.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot less Sojourn, and you might be seeing a little bit less Chris in the front line. Already gets pressured really, really low, has to Wraith form away, tuck the tail between the legs, and head back to their team there. But that regroup might be enough for them to get, I was going to say get their foot in the door, but they get their foot chopped right off. Chara is there with the micro missiles to clean Chris up, and that is going to be a pretty swift first hold there for Kennedy Catholic.
Yeah, James up top in good positioning here, just peppering, raining down the shots as well, applying the damage. James is going to find one, Chara another as well on the King, and with that, the tank will fall, and they are certainly going to have to reset once more. I mean, I feel like that first push was really stopped fairly easily. What can they do different here to kind of find some footing?
I mean, Chris has to be a little bit more, take a couple more pauses for thought before going for some of these big teleports in and getting cut out. And actually going to go ahead and make an entire switch over to the Bastion as well. So we'll see if that ends up being effective. I'm not sure how that's going to fare in a composition like this where you're still trying to struggle to find your footing in a chokehold here. Like, King has also made the swap over onto the Orisa just to try and, get the team to trudge forward, use those javelin spins and some of those long-range javelins to put the pressure onto Chara and let the team get through this choke point. But James just gonna go ahead and choke the life right out of Chris there. Another headshot to finish off that Bastion, and James is not quite done. The DPS duo for Kennedy Catholic is paying huge dividends here, and that's gonna be another fight win with almost half the time bank now down the drain.
Yeah, with the DPS falling, the healers, it was only a matter of time before King went to the wayside as well. And unfortunately for them, they really can't get any footing here on this initial point. None of it has been captured here yet. So maybe these changes here on the other side are working out for James and them.
I do want to highlight the Symmetra pick from Near Zero right now, though, because if they go for a teleport over onto the left-hand side from their perspective, they can get themselves some point presence here and have a more favorable fight where they can get the Bastion wheels down, turret form out, and start to put out the pressure. But they're trying to take this fight right now at the choke point behind this statue where, Kennedy Catholic, they have all this cover, they have high ground, they have a smorgasbord of ultimates that they can bust out right now, like this Coalescence, which is going to make Lake Stevens start to feel even more of the pressure. They're even more hesitant to try and push past this statue. They get the pick off there onto Chill, so that's a big ultimate now off the field, but they have to find more. They have to find something else, and that attack visor from James in the back line is making it a little hard to keep that search going. Axor is going to go ahead and find a grave and a one-way ticket right back to the spawn there. Side taken out with that Terra Surge. Self-destruct going to go ahead and come out from Chara. Doesn't find anything. Might just be to remake there. This lonely Bastion from Chris forced back. Near Zero has finally found some presence on the point, though, and the rest of the team is joining. So there might actually be a chance for Lake Stevens to start, picking up some of this capture percentage. And Near Zero just melting with that Sim Beam.
Yeah, a huge play from Near Zero there to come in and take the point. Now the rest of the group falling in line, and they will be able to cap this point. 30 seconds left, though. That'll bump them up to 3 on the clock. Still plenty of time to get there, but again, they're going to have to do it with minimal mistakes at this point.
Yeah, and it's definitely going to put them behind the 8 ball when you look at the time bank that Kennedy Catholic put up on their attack. They were pretty brisk throughout the entire Streets phase, essentially took all of that in one fight. With how slow Lake Stevens took point A, they're going to have to find a way to snowball it here and rely on the backs of some of these DPS ultimates and that Kitsune rush that might be coming. An early DMAC onto Chara, though, is absolutely massive.
Yeah, this soldier's doing such a great job of finding ways to flank in these backlines as well. We see him taking out Bastion, Cobain's side. Cobain actually gets 2 there as well, and a team kill going to come in. So just a great job by them.
Yeah, and we still have those DPS ultimates from Near Zero and Chris that they can bust out that they're gonna have to lean on. We still have the Kitsune rush, but all of that pressure onto Chara, and it didn't really get them all that much because Kennedy Catholic, they have the ults, they have the positioning, and they just have the raw DPS power from James, who is now fallen, so that might not be a factor anymore. Like Stevens, they might have finally found their meal ticket here. They're gonna go ahead and pop that Kitsune rush, keep the pressure up, put all of that pressure onto Chara, who is in a world of hurt right now, does fall. Chill, not too far behind, in fact, ahead. Gonna go ahead and head to spawn a little bit early here. James has attack visor, but probably gonna be a little bit hesitant to use it considering the numbers not being in Kennedy Catholic's favor here. Perhaps a little flank angle. Actually, the Coalescence from Cobain on another flank angle comes out, but that Sim Wall is gonna negate all of that pressure and ensure that Lake Stevens do in fact get the cap here.
Yeah, and again, I'm not sure about this Chris change to Bastion. As someone who loves Bastion, I'm all for it. But again, I'm not sure that they're utilizing their full potential with this comp. So again, maybe we'll see a change after the ult, but I guess time will tell.
It's kind of one of those like sunken cost fallacy things though, with Bastion, because his ultimate is not really all that valuable unless you use it at like the perfect time and manage to get like a big kill on a backliner with it. It's really, really hard to get that level of value out of it, and you have just so much more value just putting the wheels down, putting out the damage like we're starting to see right now. But against the Diva with that defense matrix, like all of that damage just getting soaked up like a sponge, and you can't really do all that much with it. It might be a little bit more beneficial to go for something else, but here comes that ultimate. Is it going to find anything? No, Chill has the Transcendence, so still alive, still in the fight. Chara gonna get DMEC, use the self-destruct, and it actually takes down Haxor's, and King gonna fall as well. So, Lake Stevens, once again, on the back foot, sent back to spawn.
Yeah, I kind of would like to see Chris use that Bastion ult maybe with the Terra Surge from King, just because it does slow them down a little bit. It makes it a little bit easier to hit. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. We will see Chris switch back to Cassidy here, maybe a character they're a little more comfortable with.
And an immediate return on investment from that Cassidy swap. Finds the pickoff there onto James, who was getting close to that tack visor. Be on the lookout for James to come back and hit that big one there. Sai gonna go ahead and take down Chris, and you know, got Cobain here on an off angle, just plinking away at the back line here inside with those magnetic grenades, and with that all that damage in on the front line. No one can really deal with Cobain here, so yeah, free to keep putting in a little bit more damage on the Ana here, playing a little bit of DPS support.
Yeah, King has had this ult for quite some time as well, so I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen it go down yet. They do have 4 ults on deck, so there is a chance for them to make a solid push here, but again, they have to make sure they utilize it to its full potential.
Yeah, and it's like, who do you even capture with this ult? They're going to go ahead and use the Kitsune Rush first, and King not really going forward to try and find any value with that ult, does inevitably use it coupled with the nano boost there, and that is enough to clap side. But, you know, while that was all happening, Chara was in the backline sweeping up Chris, going to go ahead and take them out. Chill under a lot of pressure, catches a javelin, but still able to live to tell the tale, and actually comes back with a Discord to help clean King up. And now Lake Stevens, they only have 20 seconds to get back on the cart, get that cap, and they don't have an ult to their name to do it.
Yeah, and this D.Va has done such a good job, not only tanking, but kind of pushing through that line, disrupting that background, kind of creating some confusion amongst the team as well. So really just, I think that initial switch to D.Va has made a huge change here for Kennedy Catholic.
Not nearly as much of a difference as Chara has been making with these self-destructs, though. There's that Deadeye from Chris going to finally come out, but just a still lonely, easy target. Easiest thing in the world to hit, and Sai gonna go ahead and take his head for that one, and that's gonna be a pretty convincing win for Kennedy Catholic there on Blizzard World. Gonna go ahead and take map 1, and they're looking to be in rare form today. But it's gonna kind of come down, I think, more to the DPS picks. It's gonna come down to, like, what is Chris up to? You know, what value is Near Zero getting out of their picks, and are they able to diff James and Side right now? Because looking at Blizzard World, it was kind of it was kind of the James and Side show. Side hitting all the headshots on the Cassidy, James pumping in all the damage, putting in all the pressure with the Soldier 76. If they go back to that well, then it might be a quick GG.
Yeah, you know, and we didn't really say Chill's name much as well on that support. I think it was Zenyatta, but certainly doing a phenomenal job there as well. Some couple key tranquilities coming in. So it does look like we have a very similar comp. James is going to be on Genji this time, however.
Yeah, going back, I think this might be a comfort pick for James, because we constantly see James going for this Genji pick here. And again, it can work with the right synergies around it and in the right situations. And, you know, even though they were kind of forced to go over to that Soldier 76, I don't even know if forced is the word there. It was kind of like, you know, all right, I guess I'll play Soldier and we'll just win kind of deal. Less force and more like, you know, soft coercion.
Yeah.
But if you do let James get away with murder on this Genji, I think they'll get away with more than just one murder. It will be several murders, potentially 5, and then we'll be hearing that team kill gong yet again.
Yeah, and on the other side of things, though, we see Chris starting off with Cassidy. We see Zero on the Hanzo this time. Haxor has opted to go with Mercy, and King actually going with that Ramatra. So almost everybody kind of switching up this initial comp to start things out here.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the Ramatra versus D.Va, back and forth goes on this map here. But Near Zero definitely feeling the brunt of that back and forth, as Chara right in their face with that defense matrix, with those micro missiles, finding the headshot, and the pickoffs are already coming for Kennedy Catholic. They lose James, but I think that you take that. That's an investment for all the kills that you're finding and all the ground that you're getting early on. That's a pretty swift first point win there for Kennedy Catholic.
Yeah, I mean, Kennedy Catholic just came out and made that look really easy, finding the picks, again, just dropping member after member, so that full team kill coming in once more. And we might see them make one more stand from the top of the highway here down toward the point, but I really don't think they're going to have too much trouble collecting this first checkpoint.
This is where the Hanzo pick can start to shine, because you do have this high ground advantage. It's really difficult to contest. If you're able to shut down Chara and keep your keep everything invested in Near Zero, you can prevent the cap, but they don't. The cap just goes ahead and comes right on through anyway. They don't contest the point, and that's already the hard part for Kennedy Catholic. Done and dusted. Now they have these spawns here, and they've taken down Near Zero, so they can start going through this uphill battle right now. Get all the hard part of it completely out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, both DPSs rather for the Vikings already falling. And again, I would almost like to see them take a little bit better angles. They're kind of coagulating together, and really we're seeing these DPS getting dropped initially before the tank is even taking any damage here. So I kind of like to see them maybe rework some of these angles that they're using, because you really can't afford to have your two DPS fall right away.
Speaking of angles, nobody checked the angle that Cobain was coming through with that coalescence that just mops up the entire backline of Lake Stevens, and that should be point B capped just as swiftly as point A was for Kennedy Catholic.
Yeah, again, it's much like we saw in the hybrid mode, right? Really not having any issues making this push here, whether it's Side popping the heads, getting the bread, or whether it's James dashing through once more, and you'll see him putting in work here, already finding a kill. He's really kind of been picking on near zero, it seems.
Does trip over near zero's dragons trying to get back to the cart there, but for the most part, Kennedy Catholic are just kind of, bullying Lake Stevens. They're just pushing them up. Like I said, you just overpower the defense here. Lake Stevens, they have a wealth of ultimates. They're like a dragon just sitting atop its clutch. All of this wealth that they're just hoarding, and they aren't getting a chance to use it. Invest in your local economy, dragons. Your townspeople are starving. Everyone's dying. Near zero, they did use the dragon strike and swap over to the May, but other than that, there hasn't really been much an opportunity to use any of these ultimates for Lake Stevens, and they're continuing to get staggered further and further back, and that cart is just continuing to push further and further back.
Yeah, it just seems that they don't really have an answer for James' flanks, and once they kind of get discombobulated and turned around, Side is just piecing them up with that pistol. Of course, Shara in that front line doing what they do best. So, I just don't see them stopping Kennedy Catholic at this point.
The rally comes out, but it is answered with a Transcendence, which is also answered with an Annihilation. That Deadeye, though, from Chris does take outside, and this is finally where Lake Stevens can start to dig their heels in. They've now used the entirety of that Dragon's Clutch I alluded to now. They're going to have to build up to some more before they get hit with a Hurricane coming out from Kennedy Catholic, though, because they have a ton in their back pocket to clap back with.
Yeah, 4 ults and Cobain, nearly 4 with Cobain at 98% there. And again, that payload is not very far from finding that final point. Still 4 minutes, and James with a double kill, coming up with a big play on the Genji. Make it one more, Chill will get one, and Cobain will find the team kill.
Yeah, that self-destruct from Chara comes out, and everybody gets forced in that tiny, tiny little room, and that's where James' eyes go completely wide. Pops that Dragon Blade. Everyone's so close together. Those lashes get maximum value, maximum damage. Now you got Side over here on the flank angle with that Deadeye. Gonna go ahead and put the pressure, force even more positioning. Blizzard from near zero gonna come out, though. It's looking pretty frosty right now, and King is there with some big damage to help clean this up. So at the last possible second, the midnight hour, Lake Stevens are able to stop that cart and keep it going. But they gotta do that for another 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
Yeah, May came in, temporarily put the other team on ice, but how long can they maintain this position? I mean, just a little bit to go here for Lake Stevens again, and 3 minutes on the clock. It's going to be tough to hold them for that long.
What they have to do if they want to make that happen is they have to start cycling out these ultimates. They have to build up to the Kitsune Rush, and they have to pop it pretty much right now. Or maybe no, they don't have to, actually. They get the DMAC onto Chara and the early pickoff onto James. They can hold on to that. But use that Kitsune Rush to start to build up to your other ultimates. Get that Annihilation. That's your I win button. You go in with that, you win a fight. You build up to your Deadeye. Use that to force positioning that you can start to use to clean up with this Coalescence that you'll inevitably build up to.
Yeah, we see Chris back there still kind of waiting on that hill, and now it'll finally come in from the Moira here. Has the High Noon on deck as well. And again, now starting to collect more of these ults. Almost 4 ults here for King, Chris, Haxers, and crew. So they might be able to make a strong stand.
Yeah, I'm starting to look at what they decide to open things up here with, because once again, we're looking at this Dragon's Clutch situation where they have all the wealth, they're hoarding it, they need to start using it. That Kitsune Rush is going to be how they start things out with. And they also invest the Annihilation, but everybody from Kennedy Catholic just says, no sir, I will not be dealing with that today, and the Annihilation expires, so that fight is now out the window. A lot of health bars on the side of Kennedy Catholic looking low, though, but can anybody get to them to start to clean it up? James, he thinks no. He's going to go ahead and take down near zero with the melee there and pop the Dragon Blade, and the Coalescence is going to go ahead and come out in response, but this Slicin' and Dyson is already coming through, takes down the Moira, takes down the Kiriko, and once again, that cart is threatening to full cap.
Yeah, I mean, we see the full team kill there again, near zero. Now is going to get off May and go to Tracer to try and dash in here and contest this payload, try to buy a little more time for the team. But again, as they begin to stagger in, James is going to make easy work, finds the two-piece combo. And with that, most likely, the crew should be able to find the rest of the way.
Yeah, the Tracer pick and that dead eye from Chris trying to buy time, but it looks like Lake Stevens looking a little bit bankrupt here as they do manage to make a pretty respectable hold there and burn that time bank down to 1 minute and 11 seconds, but that's still a really long time for Circuit Royale, where a lot of teams usually don't full cap at all. To do it with 1 minute and 1 minute and 11 seconds in the time bank, that's pretty good. You definitely, you're definitely happy with that if you're KC. So Lake Stevens, they have to match that, or at the very least get themselves a full cap here. And with the way that they are playing, kind of relying on some of these ultimates to get value, it might be kind of a slow burn situation.
Yeah, I mean, the Lancers didn't have much issues pushing in Blizzard World. They didn't seem to have many issues pushing here in Circuit Royale as well. Again, up until that final standpoint where we saw, Lake Stevens finally kind of give them some trouble. So it'll be interesting to see now that the roles are reversed. Again, I feel like Kennedy Catholic is going to do a little bit better on these choke points, especially with the comps they've been using. But hopefully Lake Stevens can prove me wrong. I would love to see a Game 3.
Again, that double hit scan comp, the Soldier 76, the Cassidy, that puts a lot of pressure on your tank, though. So you have to be looking at King, who's actually right now flashing a Diva. We'll see if that's what they end up sticking with. But that, again, might be the way that you have to deal with this DPS comp and try and alleviate some of that pressure. Try and stop some of that damage from coming in and actually give your team, kick that door down for them so that they can safely follow you, because so far it's been really, really difficult for them to safely follow King where they're going.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly works very well for Shara, so maybe they can give a little taste of their own medicine. Excited to see Near Zero on the Widow here as well, as we haven't had a chance to see any Widow action yet here today.
Yeah, and Near Zero already going to go ahead and pop off with a big pick off there onto Cobain, and that's, almost all of your heals gone. You now only got that one lonely Omnic, that Zenyatta with a Harmony Orb to try and keep everyone alive, and that's not enough. And Lake Stevens, they know this. They're going to go ahead and press the advantage. Kennedy Catholic, they know it as well. They're going to go ahead and back up, give a little bit of ground here, maybe even give Chara's mech and life in that order, to the cause here as they try and back up here. That one pick from Near Zero essentially just kicked the door wide open for Lake Stevens, and they're already halfway through point A.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm incredibly surprised already by the Vikings and how they've come out and chosen to answer. I mean, they're moving this cart here rather quickly and doing so really good so far up to this first checkpoint. Again, we're going to see Kennedy Catholic with that high ground now, so they could have a good stand here. But again, I'm liking what I'm seeing from the Vikings thus far.
I am also liking what I'm seeing from the Lancers. You got Chara down on the cart contesting, but there actually isn't enough support there. That Diva does get demeched, and the cap looks like it's going to come through here. You lose the Lucio, so not going to be able to, make as much ground as you'd like to. Not going to be able to take out as many members of Kennedy Catholic on the disengage there as you would have liked to, but you still got the point now.
Yeah, and it looked like they were able to take out Zero here as well. So kind of waiting for these respawns. The cart still being pushed up this ramp with relative ease thus far. Chris is going to take quite a bit of damage here on the back pedal, but again, just peppering in these shots, doing good supplemental damage. Shara and James, however, are going to find the first 2 kills, and with that, I think this drive may fizzle just a little bit. They're going to have to regroup here.
I think this is okay, though, if you're Lake Stevens, because you have time. You've got 4 minutes in the bank still, 4.5, actually. You lost Chris, which sucks. That's terrible. Don't do that. But, you can still make up for that. And I like the swap from Near Zero coming out, swapping onto the Sombra. Big Deadeye, though, from Psy, going to go ahead and get the DMAC onto King and also help to clean up Haxors. And the staggering is not good, actually, because now Kennedy Catholic can continue to get their reinforcements up, get themselves in a better position to deal with all these things coming out. Deal with Near Zero, who was just lurking in your backline a little bit longer than perhaps they should have. But again, I like the Sombra comp because you can kind of use it to just grief Chara, go for the hacks on the Diva and force the DMAC, because that's when you start to see Lake Stevens do some of their best work. Early TP going to come out from Chris, but gets pressured away, forced to Wraith out, but may have caught Cobain slipping there. Cobain under a lot of pressure, but the attack buys are going to go ahead and come out, and Chara with 2 early big pickoffs there, and this is going to be Kennedy Catholic holding strong.
Yeah, I mean, both these teams had 4 alts to their name at one point here. We see the Lancers opting to use a few of those, but again, the Vikings still have 3, nearly 4 alts here, so they have plenty of time, as you mentioned, 3:20 on the clock, still plenty of time, so they just need to play smart. They need to regroup, make sure they use these alts to their full potential, maybe stagger them out a little bit so they can continue this push forward.
I'm looking right now at near zero, who was near 100 on that EMP, but James was actually looking at Chris, whose HP bar was near zero, and goes ahead and takes it that last little bit of the way there. And again, you lost your Reaper really early. You're losing players early in these fights, and that makes it so easy for Kennedy Catholic to come through, get the staggers, get more kills, find more bodies, bleed more time, send you back to spawn. And right now, that's all it takes for them. Another team kill, Claxon coming through, and again, Kennedy Catholic holding strong.
Yeah, I mean, you can find kills here and there and make pushes, but consistency is key. And right now, they are just doing a phenomenal job at finding these stops, getting these early picks, whether it's taking out a DPS first or a healer, but they're always finding ways to get in this backline and kind of disrupt things for the Vikings.
I also didn't notice it, but the EMP from near zero came out last fight. That's catastrophic. The bomb comes out from King and also finds nothing. Cobain, though, gets very, very low and is cleaned up. Here comes that Death Blossom. The Matrix is there to soak up some of the damage, but not enough. And actually, Lake Stevens, they might have just turned it around and made themselves a nice little pathway there, but they're not quite out of the woods. There's enough time for Kennedy Catholic to get at least one more contest here, so we'll see what ends up coming through with that.
Yeah, Mercy able to get that revive, though, so still the 5-stack able to push toward the point here, and they're kind of far forward here with that D.Va, trying to make sure that they can't come out of that checkpoint, trying to secure this cart to that final position there, or that second checkpoint, excuse me. But again, the teams here, they have a couple ults. It looks like they're going to come out, so they might be able to make this stop before it gets to the checkpoint.
Nano Boost comes out onto Chara as soon as King as soon as King gets demeched there. There's just no resistance, no tank to soak all that up, and it's left to just bleed over all that damage just to everyone else. And Lake Stevens again gets shut out, and this is really dangerous because look where the cart is and look where the spawn is. Look where Lake Stevens has to get in order to nudge it that last little bit here.
I was kind of surprised that Lake Stevens didn't find it there. That Kennedy came out from that team wipe and just came out with a fierceness. Again, their DPS just does a great job of finding these early kills in that fight and giving him these player advantages.
We're down to a minute, and King is already about to lose the mech, and does indeed. That is awful for Lake Stevens. They have to back out now and regroup. They can't go in without a D.Va, and they definitely can't go in without Chris, their team captain, on that Reaper, again falling very early. When there's no D.Va to soak up the damage, what are you going to do? Haxor's, I think, in danger of falling as well. James falls, but that is not enough because, he's going to be back pretty swiftly. It's going to be Lake Stevens that has to try and make something happen here, and it's going to be the Coalescence. It forces the Transcendence out from Chill, but the Self-Destruct coming out from Chara, is it going to be big? It is not, but it does enough. It forces enough positioning, but Lake Stevens are actually able to clap back. Chris is now in the fight with the Hellfire shotguns, putting out the big damage. Takes down Side. Chill's going to go ahead and fall as well. It looks like Charas might be demeched here, but James going to try and use the tac visor to hold strong here. Under a lot of pressure. Finds the Moira there, though, but still under so much pressure. The lone man has to try and get the cap here, stop the cap from coming. Takes down Haxor's King. Gonna go ahead and pop that self-destruct. Isn't able to get the DMAC despite finding 2. EMP gonna come out from near zero, but is swiftly cleaned up by the reinforcements, and Kennedy Catholic are going to hold just at the end of point B on Circuit Royale and take a swift 2-0 here against Lake Stevens.
Yeah, and Kennedy Catholic, they just have great team synergy. You'll notice, like, right there near that last fight, as soon as the D.Va was gone, we see the Soldier, even the Moira, pouncing on the rest of the members. They know that they don't have a tank, not allowing them to fall back and really just kind of further staggering that team.
Excellent work from Kennedy Catholic. Great way to bounce back. But yeah, that is going to be it for us this week for Overwatch 2. Be sure to tune in.